The Jacksons of Spring Creek, Pennsylvania were strong, self-reliant people. Freedom had nothing to do with money, they told young Bob Jackson. It was a man's spirit of independence that was important.
Jackson's parents were farmers when he was very young, and they were busy working all the time. So Uncle William, who was in his 70s, was given responsibility for taking care of Jackson. Jackson said that he walked around the property at Spring Creek with Uncle William and learned a lot about the land and about many things from Uncle William.
Born on February 13, 1892, to William Eldred Jackson and Angelina Howitt Jackson, Robert led an isolated but comfortable life. The Jacksons were stiff Democrats and their neighbors Republicans, but they managed to hold their own. His grandfather's stake in the California gold rush hadn't amounted to much, but he found enough money to buy some land. He always had money for books and big city newspapers. Robert's father was too busy to be bothered with books. He ran a lumbering operation up on Jackson Hill.
John Barrett in search of Robert Jackson. Here in the village of Spring Creek, Pennsylvania.
As my brother articulated, that there was a sort of almost religious nature to nature. And that came from Bob Jackson down through my mother. And so, you know, she really felt that when you were close to nature, that you were close to truth with a capital T of a sort. And she got this on these long expeditions that, you know, the Jamestown, they would ride, they'd go through Sugar Grove, then they'd head on the road to Columbus, and then they would cut, and I think it was at that Wrightsville cutoff, and come up over Eldred Hill. And then go to the
trails,
farm.
or are they just riding up through
the
the
dirt
woods?
roads.
Dirt roads.
Dirt roads.
Okay.
But you know, these were arduous, long journeys, and yeah, I was thinking about that as we were driving over. That, you know, it was quite a thing, and she talked about coming down over Eldred Hill with her father, and the lightning bolts coming down the high wire, and they were trying to keep their horses under control and all this stuff. So it was, you know, it was really an arduous journey. And then he'd go and, like, you know, sit on, you know, camp on a mountainside for 2 weeks, doing like nothing but being close to nature.
And they finding a stream and catching fish and living on that.
Bathing in the stream, living off the land. Now, Porter's Cash Store used to be at the intersection here. And then when you see it, they used to ride horses, and that's where they get their supplies. And then in the farmhouse, which is no longer, and the barn is no longer, where he was born and grew up, were relatives. So.
You're the tour guide.
Okay. And then on that bluff right there by those two big pine trees was the house.
Mm-hmm. And that's the house he was born in?
I believe that's the house he was born in. The drive kind of you just sort of went up the hill where that big bush is and would park on that plateau beside the house. And then the house was to the left of those trees. It was a farmhouse. It was my recollection of it, but it could be wrong, was that it was a center entry. You know, now I never went far deep into it because it kind of had there's a rectangular volume, and then the kitchen was kind of added off on this side. So of course the way we always went in was through the kitchen.
There's a stone structure up here.
Okay, the foundation still exists.
So what'd you girls find?
The foundation. The structure of, you know, basically that's it. Kind of doorknob over there. This is the house.
This is the house where your
grandfather grew up. And we're guessing not yours.
Calm down.
And mine. I said yours too. But we're guessing that the roof probably fell in, and that's why only the big stuff is out here.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
We're trying to figure out how they got up from the basement, but we're not quite sure. Because there are no, like, steps or anything.
Yeah. So you see, this is the kitchen.
Do you think I can set the step in there?
No. This was the kitchen. And then, the irony was...
Well, there.
It was step in here. The irony was that you had this sort of center, but you'd have the entrance. The formal entrance was here, and no one would ever use it. The only viable entrance was on the side through the kitchen.
It's a grill from the second story of the house, opened up to let hot air rise up to heat something.
Okay.
And a doorknob.
A doorknob?
Another doorknob.
Doorknob. Okay, here we go. This is from the Homestead. So your landmark is the golf club. Wow, good find.
Right, in the summer.
Intrepid souls.
Looks like some roofing material. A lot of debris this way. Buckets, some metal buckets, and some glass and piping. That's all you need for a party. Yeah. Yeah, and let's give us a.
And then for the material that's inside the confines, is it,
Maybe it's something. If things that are just right up against the wall would be good to clear, so we can actually have a full view of that wall and we'll be able to photograph it.
Okay.
So if you've got those trees and shrubs that are just against the wall, then that would be great. Just as long as we're exposing the foundation and the walls.
so that's the critical
That's
item
the
for
critical
you.
bit. You know, if there's if there's a bush in the middle of the foundation, that's not so significant. I'm just trying to save you work. But
We understand the concept now. Clear the foundation so you can identify the precise location of that.
Yeah, and if we're seeking a total station up here, then we're going to be able to stay.
You also
in this
need to
high
shoot
point here
to.
and shoot to
Yep.
it.
We get that.
So
So a couple lanes, probably a lane to each corner. So you see the white pine?
yes, I
This
do.
is
So
dead.
this is our line.
That's we want to go right to the white
Let's
pine
go
and
get
clear
it.
all that out.
Yeah.
Make a couple notes that we're going to go back to the dead white pine along this line. And then we need to mark the outer limits on the what I think is the north side. And then we would clear everything between the two ribbons to the foundation, and then a little clearance of 5 or 6 feet on either side so they could safely walk around and examine scatter. And then over here for the barn, the directive would be inside the flags is the foundation. And we would clear on either side of the foundation so they could get a clear representation of where that foundation is using the GPS.
Okay.
So no big trees would come out.
It's just basically brush and
Yeah, and leave the apple trees too. I think that those apple trees you see, those are all part of that.
yeah, it looks like they would have been.
Thank you, Joe.
19th century living. Overlooking the beautiful broken straw river. Had to have some kind of a bridge that got the carriages and the horses across. Had a barn. Had 80 acres of fields behind. Had Jackson Hill in the background.